Hi again. I'm Iris Matthews, a romance author. We're picking back up with our excerpt readings from T.J. Klune's 2020 novel, The House in the Cerulean Sea. One of the things we'll be focusing on in this series is atmosphere and setting, so bear with me as we dwell on some of those passages. We'll also take a note of how T.J. Klune uses cutesy nicknames to refer to characters when Linus Baker doesn't know their name. Today we're going to pick back up in Chapter 2 on page 26 of my copy, and then we'll be moving into Chapter 3. Alright, let's get to it. He missed the bus. He saw its taillights through the rain as it rumbled down the street. The advertisement on the back of a smiling woman saying, "See something, say something. Registration helps everyone." Still clear, even through the rain. Of course, he muttered to himself. There would be another one in 15 minutes. He held his briefcase above his head and waited. He stepped off the bus, which had, of course, been 10 minutes late, at the stop a few blocks from his house. "It's a wet one out there," the driver told him. "A fine observation," Linus replied as he stepped onto the sidewalk. "Really, thank you for..." The door snapped shut behind him and the bus pulled away. The back right tire hit a rather large puddle, splashing up and soaking Linus's slacks up to his knees. Linus sighed and began to trudge his way home. The neighborhood was quiet, the street lamps lit and inviting, even in the cold rain. Home. It wasn't much. It was tiny, and the back fence needed to be replaced, but it had a lovely porch where one could sit and watch the day pass by if one were so inclined. There were sunflowers in the flower bed at the front, tall things that swayed in the cool breeze, though they were closed now against the coming evening and dreary rain. It had been raining for weeks on end, mostly an uncomfortable drizzle interspersed with a tedious downpour. And moving into Chapter 3, Linus is right on time for his meeting with extremely upper management. "No time for cowardice," he scolded himself quietly. "Chin up. For all you know, maybe it's a promotion. A big promotion. One with higher pay, and you'll finally be able to go on that vacation you've always dreamed about. The sand on the beach, the blue of the ocean. Don't you wish you were there?" He did. He wished it greatly. Linus began to walk down the hallway slowly. Rain lashed against the windows to his left. The lights in the sconces to his right flickered slightly. His loafers squeaked on the floor. He pulled at his tie. Linus glanced back longingly at the elevators at the other end of the hall. "Don't you wish you were here?" they asked him. He did. Very much so. He enters the room with extremely upper management. There were 3 men and 1 woman. And though Linus had learned their names early on in his career at Daikami, for the life of him he couldn't remember them presently. His mind had come to the decision that it was experiencing technical difficulties and was broadcasting nothing but fuzzy snow. Handsome rubbed a hand over his face. "What is said next doesn't leave this room, Mr. Baker. Do you understand? This is classified Level 4. Linus took in a stuttering breath. "Why me?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Because there's really no one else we can trust," the woman said simply. That should have filled Linus with a sense of pride. Instead, he felt nothing but dread curling in his stomach. "Think of this as more of a checkup," the bespectacled man said. "We haven't received word of any wrongdoing, but the orphanage you'll be going to is... It's special, Mr. Baker. The orphanage is non-traditional. and the 6 children who live there are different than anything else you've seen before, some more than others. They're problematic. Problematic? What's that supposed to? Your job will be to make sure everything is on the up and up, Handsome said, a small smile on his face. It's important, you see. The master of this specific orphanage, one Arthur Parnassus, is certainly qualified, but we have concerns. The 6 children are of the more extreme variety, and we must make sure that Mr. Parnassus continues to be capable of managing them. 1 would be a handful, but 6 of them? Linus racked his brain. He was sure he'd heard of all the masters in the region, but I've never heard of Mr. Parnassus. No, I don't suppose you have, the woman said. But that's why it's classified level 4. If you had, it would mean we had a leak. We don't do well with leaks, Mr. Baker. Is that understood? Leaks need to be plugged, swiftly. Yes, he said hastily. Of course, I would never. Of course you wouldn't, Jowls said. It's part of the reason why you were chosen. 1 month, Mr. Baker. You will spend 1 month on the island where the orphanage is located. We will expect weekly reports. Anything that raises alarms must be reported immediately. Linus felt his eyes bulge. A month? I can't leave for a month. I have duties. Your current caseload will be reassigned, the bespectacled man said. In fact, it's already been done. He flipped to another paper. And it says here you are quite alone. No spouse, no children, no one to miss you if you had to leave for an extended length of time. That stung more than it should have. He was aware of such things, of course. But to have them so blatantly laid bare caused his heart to stutter. I need to go back down to my desk and... Absolutely not, Mr. Baker. I have been instructed to tell you that you are to exit the premises without delay. Speak to no one. I don't think that should be a problem for you, but it had to be said. I have no idea what's going on, he said. I'm not even sure if I'm here. Yes, Miss Bubblegum said sympathetically. Sounds like quite the existential crisis. Perhaps consider having it somewhere else. They were standing in front of the elevators. He hadn't even known they were moving. The doors slid open in front of him. Miss Bubblegum shoved him in and reached in to hit the button for the first floor. She stepped out of the elevator. Thank you for visiting the offices of Extremely Upper Management, she said cheerfully. Have a fantastical day. The door slid shut before he could speak another word. It was still raining. He had barely even noticed. One moment he was standing in front of the department in charge of magical youth, and the next he was on the stone path that led to his porch. He didn't know how he'd gotten there, but that seemed to be the least of his worries. Thanks for joining me on this passage reading. I hope to see you next time.